Hello, everyone, and welcome to this small episode today that we have of the Jayden Bryce Show. The show where we talk about the hottest topics in the world of sports. We had a great day of the division round on Saturday. And of course, I got a couple games we're going to talk about here. We're going to talk about the outcome of the Bills and the Broncos and the Seahawks and the Niners. Huge Saturday. And the biggest storyline, obviously, going into yesterday and the whole idea of the division round in general. The highlight was Josh Allen and how well he was going to perform in this game. But before we get forward, make sure you guys like, subscribe, and check out my podcast on Apple and Spotify and YouTube as well. Josh Allen. I had originally written up a script for this game. And if I can look back, I said that will Josh Allen pass the test? If he wins, the Bills are going to the Super Bowl. They've endured 2 ACL injuries with Shavers and Davis and things of that nature. So that's what I was thinking. And I felt like Josh Allen was on a mission, this and this and that. And in this game, at one point, it felt like Josh Allen was on a mission. It felt like in the first quarter that specifically at one point, when the Bills, it was 7-3, and the Bills were winning, and they had the ball on the Broncos side of the field, it felt like if they would have scored that touchdown, it felt like Josh Allen was on a mission. And then James Cook fumbles, and it was all downhill from there. And let's be totally honest, Josh Allen did not get it done. He did not come through. The questions have been, for the majority of his career, is are you finally going to get it done? You have no Mahomes, no Burrow, no Lamar Jackson. Are you going to be able to get it done? He didn't. And I am not saying that gladly. I wish I was saying something else today on Sunday before we get ready to go to the second day of games. I want to be saying that Josh Allen is going to the Super Bowl. But we are not able to say that today. Josh Allen accounted for 4 turnovers. 4 out of the 5 turnovers that the Bills have, or had yesterday rather, Josh Allen accounted for. Josh Allen is now 0-7 in career overtime games. He is 0 for 3 in the playoffs. After the year that he lost to the Kansas City Chiefs, I can't remember if it was 22 or 23, one or two, they changed the playoff rule because of Josh Allen. And ever since they changed that rule, Josh Allen has not won a career overtime playoff game. He missed some key throws towards the end of the game. The throw towards the middle to Dawson Knox that he would want back. Obviously, he has some big missed catches. The catch by Keon Coleman in the end zone. That, yes, it was a holding call, but if Keon Coleman would have caught the ball, the Bills could have had a chance for them to accept that penalty and have another shot. Instead, they declined it and it was 4th down. Here was the timeline of the Bills' miscues. I wrote down Josh Allen fumble, which was absolutely detrimental. That was one of the worst fumbles. It felt like after that whole second quarter felt like we were having the Josh Allen 2020 Josh Allen roller coaster game. Because Josh Allen was starting to be Superman impressed. So he had a terrible fumble before half that caused it to be 20-10. Coming out of halftime, you had a strip sack 23-10. And in the first quarter, you had on the opening drive of the Broncos, you had an offsides penalty that negated a fumble by R.J. Harvey, if I'm not mistaken. Those were the Bills' miscues in the first half, and it cost them the rest of the game. I don't want to hear about, and we're going to get to it later, the PI calls and a couple the huge interception. We'll get to that later, but that wasn't the total reason why the Bills lost this game. It's because of all the Bills' miscues, and most importantly, Josh Allen. Josh Allen accounted outside of the James Cook fumble 4 out of the 5 turnovers. Josh Allen threw the ball 40 times, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. James Cook ran the ball very well. The tight ends, they made their presence felt. And we got to give Josh Allen credit and the Bills' offense credit. They showed up in the second half, scored 14 unanswered points. But it was not good enough to win the game. I feel like am I missing anything? You had the big drop. Well, the bad pass by Josh Allen on the screen pass on I think it was the final drive where they could have went up and scored a touchdown instead of settling for a field goal on their second to last offensive drive where Josh Allen left the ball short of Khalil Shakir, and he would have hit his head on the goalpost if Josh Allen would have gave him a good throw. But let's go ahead and transition to the controversial fumble. It was a weird play. It's not a fumble, but an interception. It felt like an interception to me. Brandon Cooks, it felt like to me he didn't get full possession of the football. When we watched the replay and we look at the footage, as soon as Brandon Cooks hits the ground, it felt like he gave up on the football. It felt like I don't know if he had a concussion. It just felt like he was out of it. It's like he knew that he lost the football. So I felt like Brandon Cooks did not have full possession of the ball all the way through the ground. And then the DB comes up with an innocent interception. So I think I got to give credit to the officials. I think they've done a pretty good job with that call. Was it a detrimental call for the Buffalo Bills? Absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt. It was a huge call. Absolutely huge call. So that is my my thoughts on that. It's one of those Bills plays that you feel like the Bills are cursed in the playoffs. And I look back at the scores of the last 8 playoff games. They've lost multiple playoff games the last 5 seasons is just 3 scores. And that was a huge defining play. But let's we'll discuss the Broncos here. The Broncos play like they have all season. The offense for the Denver Broncos, specifically in the second half with Bo Nix, they got stagnant. They got conservative. And that's why at one point, I think it was 24-23 at one point, and the Bills got ahead in the second half. But we got to give credit to credit where credit is due. Bo Nix, that final big boy drive, that was huge. That touchdown drive to cap off with a minute left in the fourth quarter. Huge drive of Bo Nix. We know playoffs is about moments. You know, young quarterback. He was pretty much the question mark going into the postseason. Why many people were potentially throwing out the idea that the Bills were frauds going into this playoff run. Majority of the reason why was Bo Nix. We did not trust Bo Nix to make the necessary clutch plays to have the Broncos and a chance to go to a Super Bowl, so to speak. But Bo Nix, he made plays with his legs when he needed to. Didn't have a huge impact with his legs like I would have hoped. But he dropped back 46 times. He barely completed over 50% of his passes, but he only had that one bad interception. He did not turn the ball over like Josh Allen, and that was the story of the game. And he threw 3 touchdowns and made the game-winning plays when he needed to. And I hated both of those pass interference calls. I did not like either one. When you have a call like you had that went up against the Bills with the interception, and if you're the Bills and you had those 2 pass interference calls to go up against you, there was one call that kind of did get called that could have got called against Brandon Cooks, not the interception, but the one before that where Josh Allen threw a go ball and his arm got held down. Could have had a PI call there. But those pass interference calls were not great. I hated the one against Johnson the most. And then the one against Tre'Davious White, watching it live, it was pretty much bang, bang in my opinion. I don't know what the referee saw at the time. Granted, I'm not making excuses for the Buffalo Bills. Was I absolutely mad that the call was made in the context of things when it happened? Yes. But I'm not going to sit here and say that those 2 calls were the reason why the Bills lost this game. I thought it was smart coaching by Sean Payton. You could tell it was Sean Payton's intentions to throw a one-on-one ball to get in better field goal range. He was not comfortable all game kicking long field goals with his kicker. It happened in the second half. They had the ball on the Bills' 40-yard line, and he punted. So he definitely was not comfortable kicking a long field goal. I think that was wonderful game management in the part of Sean Payton. And it's something Sean McDermott probably should have tried. And granted, you don't have the type of receivers that have the height that the Broncos have. You don't have that threat like a Cortland Sutton down the field that you could throw a one-on-one ball to enforce a pass interference call. But we got to give credit to Sean Payton. I didn't love the calls. Would I have rather for them to let the players make the plays down the stretch? Absolutely. You can say it's a bailout on the officials' part. I cannot disagree with you for the most part. I hated the calls. But we cannot go around here thinking that those two pass interference calls were the reason why the Bills lost this game. Does it suck that that was 50 yards worth of penalties in the favor of the Broncos that helped them catapult them to winning the game? Absolutely. But we cannot be here today trying to argue that that is the reason why the Buffalo Bills lost the game. And the Broncos played well. And the sucky news for the Broncos coming out of this game is that somehow Bo Nix broke his ankle. I don't know how that happened. They said it happened to Sean Payton came out in the presser. Obviously, he already did the postgame presser and came back out 15 minutes later. And hey, it was like, hey, I had some bad news. Bo Nix is not going to be with the team for the rest of the season. He fractured his ankle on the second to last play of the game. There's multiple different clips that are interpreting this. People are saying it was in overtime when they had the little run off to the left where Bo Nix got lost 2 or 3 yards. And some people are saying it was on the kneel down where it seemed like to me Bo Nix's ankles got cut up under him when he was trying to get up after the defender was trying to tackle him. So I want to say it was the second to last play with the quarterback kneel, and he got up really weird and gingerly came off the field. And Tracy Walfer, pardon me if I'm not saying that name correct, she initially made the report, but it really wasn't known until roughly 20 minutes after the game. And when I got the notification, I was sitting there saying to myself, there's no way. That's not true. This has got to be fake news. And lo and behold, I think James Palmer or somebody for Underdog was on top of this at first. And then the Adam Schefters and Ian Rappaports and everyone else was on top of the story that, yes, Bo Nix is going to be out for the rest of the postseason. Stidham is going to be the quarterback to lead them through the season. He's actually only taken 1 snap, I believe, all year, and it was back in October. This is absolutely detrimental to the Broncos, a team that already had its question marks going into the postseason. Many people did not think that they were going to win this game. And now your quarterback, second-year quarterback in Bo Nix, he was fixing to play in an AFC Championship game. You haven't been to a Super Bowl since 2015, possibly 10 years ago. And I think before last year, that was last year was the first time you were in the playoffs since then. So you're a franchise that's on the rise. You had the defensive pieces. Bo Nix is pretty much runs that offense with his play style with this, and he's not even going to be available. And you got 2 juggernauts that they're possibly going to face defensively in the Texans or the Patriots. So the odds are not in the Broncos' favor. I trust Sean Payton to kind of make a recovery plan with this type of detrimental news, but this sucks for Broncos fans. This is the worst. This is the worst outcome you could have had after winning that big of a game. Your quarterback, you were saying your quarterback plays relatively decent. He didn't knock the stats off, but he played a virtually pretty decent ball game. And that news is just absolutely brutal. I hate it for Bo Nix. Part of me wishes he could just thug it out and have that historic, legendary run. Like, you only have 2 games left in the season, man. Like, you got 3 weeks, like, you know. And there was reports of Adam Schefter. They're questioning if he's going to be ready for training camp. I'm like, what kind of injury did he have? I didn't think a broken ankle was that big of a deal. But I guess it's that serious to the point to where Bo Nix is not going to be available for the rest of the playoff. And Josh Allen, when is it going to happen? I repeat, when is it going to happen? He came out in his press conference at post-game and said he wasn't good enough. And those pressers for Josh Allen and Deion Dawkins were rough if you go back and watch them. They're crying. They're upset. It's just brutal. There's nobody in the NFL this year that I've wanted to see more. Not even the last couple years, because we've had Kansas City Chiefs fatigue. There's no other quarterback in this league that I've wanted to see more in a Super Bowl, and just the fan base in general, because they deserve it. It is the Buffalo Bills franchise, and led by Josh Allen. Josh Allen feels like that guy. He's been overshadowed by Patrick Mahomes, and he's kind of felt like Patrick Mahomes' stepson, so Patrick Mahomes was not there this year, and you kind of felt like this was Josh Allen's Super Bowl run to lose. And, and I know Josh Allen, I blame it on him, but yet there were a couple plays that Josh Allen made in this game where you felt like he made the plays necessary to win the ball game. But again, for the Buffalo Bills, it is always something. And there were a few plays down the stretch that Josh Allen just did not make. And that's the moral of the story. That is the moral of the story. And this sucks to be saying this about Josh Allen. I wanted to be talking about Josh Allen going on a masterclass and having the best possible outcome to a Super Bowl facing the Texans or the Patriots. I would have been comfortable rooting for the Bills and seeing the Bills' chances going to the Super Bowl because you're facing two rookie quarterbacks who have no playoff experience. Well, they're not rookies, but they have no playoff experience. Detrimental day for the Bills and a detrimental day for the Broncos. Who knew that we would have two absolutely horrific outcomes for both franchises after that game? It was a great game. Even with the stuff that happened with the officiating towards the end, I thought it was just a very, very phenomenal game all around.